The year's 1957, and in the small town where 14-year-old Dani's family lives, nothing ever happens. That is, until the Foster family, who moved away years ago, returns to the neighboring farm. Dani is drawn to the Fosters' eldest son, 17-year-old Court. Their acquaintance begins with a squabble over the local swimming hole and blossoms into her first love. Court doesn't know how to handle the affections of a teenage girl, and then he meets Dani's older sister and falls for her instead. So-called coming-of-age films became a kind of hallmark of 1980s. Hollywood American directors of that era somehow managed to find the perfect balance between sincerity and realism, capturing the magic of childhood's final days and the bittersweet melancholy of saying goodbye to it. Films like The Breakfast Club, Stand By Me, Lucas, or Dead Poets Society became ingrained in the DNA of an entire generation and got teenagers all over the world hooked on American cinema. Transparent, honest, and universal. The Man in the Moon is another fine example of this genre, less famous and popular than the aforementioned films, but no less valuable. If only for introducing the world to Reese Witherspoon, at the time, just a 14-year-old girl with no acting experience who showed up to the audition, hoping for an extra role and ended up with the lead part. Certainly, her performance here lacks some of the subtlety and refinement she would later develop, but she makes up for it with incredible naturalism and charm. You instantly connect with Dani, who is endearing in her artlessness. The first love and first heartbreak she experiences resonate with familiar echoes in your heart. Furthermore, it's already clear here how much the camera loves Witherspoon. The young actress easily holds the screen in long close-ups, and she's fascinating to watch. The film is set in 1957, and its director, Robert Mulligan, knows that era firsthand. That was the year his first feature film, Fear Strikes Out with Anthony Perkins, was released. Mulligan would go on to direct many worthy films, including To Kill a Mockingbird, for which he received an Oscar nomination, and The Nickel Reed, which was nominated for the Palme d'Or at Cannes. The Man in the Moon was Mulligan's final film, made when he was 66, and it is the true swan song of his career, a pure, tender, and deeply nostalgic piece of cinema about the joys and pains of being 14. The Man in the Moon was well received by critics, and the esteemed American critic Roger Ebert even included it in his list of the 10 best films of 1991. However, none of this helped its box office fate. The studio, MGM, didn't risk giving the film a wide release, and without big names on the poster, it quickly got lost, failing to recoup its already modest budget of $6.5 million. The film gained notice much later after Reese Witherspoon and Jason London, for whom the role of Kurt was also a debut, became stars. It was then that people came to appreciate Mulligan's approach to the story, slightly sentimental but by no means saccharine, the wonderful cinematography by two-time Oscar winner Freddie Francis, and the music by Hollywood maestro James Newton Howard, who was not yet so acclaimed back then. His 9 nominations for the top Hollywood award were still ahead of him. The Man in the Moon is a brilliant example of how big Hollywood can skillfully handle small, intimate cinema. It is unhurried but not dull, contemplative yet focused. Its creators know exactly what story they are telling, tactfully balancing chasteness and frankness, painting a portrait of a warm, tightly knit family with confident strokes, and skillfully creating the atmosphere of the hot 1950s South, a place and time that most of us never knew, but which, thanks to films like this, we somehow perceive as something familiar and almost like home.